You ever walk into a room and feel the air change? That's how it was the night Daniel Harrow started turning purple at table 7, right in the middle of a packed anniversary dinner at the Marlowe. Crystal lights blinking like they were watching silver trays frozen in mid-step, the pianist's hands like a paused movie. 3 sentences to hook you. Who saves the man everyone thinks can buy the world when his breath is slipping away? A young server who grew up on a dusty porch, or the white coats with their degrees and steady hands. Stick with me. Act 1. The hook: panic moves faster than money. Daniel Harrow was the kind of man whose portrait hangs in lobbies and whose name is on towers, the kind of person people say, "You know that building," and mean him. He laughs like someone who believes he's invincible, until the stake slides wrong and his fingers claw at his neck like he's trying to claw air itself. 2 doctors at a corner table stand up. Dr. Grant, broad-shouldered, practiced. Dr. Myers, phone already dialing. They move like professionals in a movie, precise and sure. The Heimlich, the count, the thrust. 3 tries, 4, nothing. He goes from red to purple to a gray that belongs in photographs of a life after it's over. People step back. Phones come up, the maitre d' yells for an ambulance, and for a moment the whole room becomes a theater of helplessness. Maya Flores is 28. She's not on the social pages. She wears the house black with a name tag that says M. Flores hair in a tight bun, palms calloused from double shifts. She's been in Chicago 2 years chasing a doctorate that costs more than rent and serving because the bills don't wait for dissertations. She grew up in a small town near the desert, raised by her grandmother Rosa, a woman who walked in sandstorms and knew how to read the sky. Rosa taught her things the textbooks didn't, like tracking the weather in a footprint, finding water by the way a plant leans, and a set of moves you use when someone can't breathe and you're 40 miles from the nearest clinic. Maya's thesis is on preserving what people call old knowledge, but tonight that knowledge is not theory. It's a last shot. Act 2. The effort and turning point. Maya heard the commotion from the service corridor. She could have stayed back. Rules liability managers. All the reasons a person in her position gets taught to keep their head down. The maitre d', Colin, barked orders, "Back to your stations," like a drill sergeant, and Dr. Grant snapped, "We have this." But Maya saw his eyes glassing over, saw the color leave his face, and Rosa's voice, small, firm, came back to her. When hospitals are miles away, you use what the desert taught you. You make gravity your partner. She pushed through the circle of shock. People parted like waves, whispered horror and curiosity colliding. "Miss, please," Colin said, hand on her elbow. Dr. Myers frowned. "This is a medical situation. Please stand by." Maya didn't stand by. She stepped in. For a second, the room seemed to slow. The clink of cutlery dulled the chandeliers watched. And she did something that made half the place gasp. She bent Daniel forward, not backward, steadied his chest with one hand, lifted the other high, and brought her heel of hand into the space between his shoulder blades. 5 fast strikes, timed like the old stories her abuela used to count out. The first 4 didn't budge it. You could hear the collective inhale of 100 people who'd been sure it was over. Maya's heart was a drum, her palms slick, and she remembered Rosa's correction. Aim a hair, lower angling inward, let gravity work with you. The 5th strike landed a sound like something giving up, and Daniel bucked forward with a wet cough. Life re-entering a body like light coming back to a room. The piece of meat flew across the floor, audibly obscene in a place that sells carefully plated food. And then he breathed. Slow, ragged, miraculous. For a moment, no one moved except to breathe. Then the professional response took over. Dr. Grant checking pulses, the paramedics flooding in. Hands that had been stern were suddenly gentle apologies whispered that weren't necessary. Daniel's eyes found Maya in a way money can never buy. Wide, watery, unbelievably human. "You saved me," he said, and in that moment a tower of arrogance became a man who knew he'd been given a second shot he didn't expect. Act 3. The payoff and the question. The video showed up online before Maya could finish her shift. Somebody had recorded the chaos. Shaky footage, Gasps a hand reaching in, and then the thing that breaks 1,000 assumptions, the server who moved past the doctors and did what her grandmother taught her. Social feeds split like a fracture. She's a hero. She's reckless. She's unlicensed. She's brilliant. Hashtags spun up. Hashtag Rosa method. Server saves. Did that really work? And the phone on the manager's desk wouldn't stop ringing. Colin, the maitre d', looked like a man figuring out what to do with a problem that could sink the restaurant or make it famous. Dr. Grant, who'd frowned at her earlier, sat down across from her later and said what men like him rarely say. "I was wrong." His voice was quiet and big. You could hear the humility. $1 million apology maybe, but genuine. Dr. Myers asked for a sit-down to talk technique. Questions that had been rhetorical became invitations. Could this be documented? Could it be taught? Daniel Harrow did not stay unengaged. He insisted the restaurant not fire her. Actually, he demanded they reward her. From his hospital bed, he did something no one expected he did more than offer a thank you. He made a public promise. He set up a scholarship in Rosa's name, full tuition for Maya to finish her doctorate, and funding for a foundation to collect and scientifically evaluate traditional life-saving techniques. $5 million to start. The irony tasted sweet and odd. The man who'd built walls insisting on putting money back into a kind of knowledge he once thought irrelevant. Now, I don't want you to think this turns into a fairy tale overnight. There was pushback. Some doctors were skeptical and said the Heimlich is standard for a reason. Evidence matters. Others warned about cultural exploitation. Don't let them package our elders' knowledge and sell it, one community elder told Maya. There were lawyers, cautious PR people, journalists sniffing for a headline. Maya sat in conference rooms where men with neat ties used words like scalability and protocols and tried to shave the story down to a press release. She wanted the focus on the people who taught these methods, the ones whose names weren't profitable. But there were also classrooms filling up. EMT instructors started asking for demonstrations. A documentary filmmaker wanted to follow Maya into the desert to meet the cousins and elders who taught her grandmother. Dr. Grant joined a panel about integrating evidence-based traditional techniques into emergency training. People began to ask new questions. When modern methods fail, can the old ones fill gaps? How do we respect context while saving lives? Who owns knowledge and who gets to profit from it? Here's the thing. Maya didn't set out for fame. She wanted to finish her dissertation to make sure her grandmother's lessons weren't footnotes in some dusty archive. What started as a frantic act of survival became a conversation about dignity, whose wisdom counts and why. Daniel Harrow learned to say his father's name softly and to call his mother back in the old language. Dr. Grant learned humility. The restaurant learned that protocols are useful but not sacred when a breath is on the line. And Maya, she finished her degree, but more than that, she found a platform to lift voices that had been dismissed for generations. The ending isn't neat because life rarely is. The Rosa technique, that's what people started calling it, got studied, tweaked, and put into conditional guidelines where it helped in cases where Heimlich failed. The foundation opened doors for elders to share, for young researchers to travel, for communities to be paid and credited for teaching. But there were arguments. Does putting traditional knowledge under a microscope strip its meaning? Can a move learned on a porch be captured in a 2-page protocol? Should some things remain with communities instead of becoming curricula? So I'll leave you with the part that matters: the night a woman who'd been invisible to many saved a man who thought he was untouchable, and the ripple that followed forced a city, and a lot of people online, to think about what they value. It's messy, it's emotional, it's human. And yeah, that happened. Now, I want to hear from you. What would you have done in that restaurant? Do you think traditional knowledge should be recorded and taught in hospitals, or should it stay with the families who created it? Have you ever seen a way of doing things dismissed until it saved someone you loved? Drop a comment. Tell your story. Argue your point. If this moved you, hit like, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe if you want more stories that make you think, make you feel, and maybe, just maybe, change the way you see the people around you.